In this EliteWorks tutorial, we're going to be going over how to utilize the text widget and kind of the little tips and tricks that you can utilize in order to make your website pop as far as your content is concerned. Now, first off, how do we get a text widget onto our page? So if we go over to Widgets, we're going to click on Text. Now from here, we're going to select the type of text widget that we want to use. Now, primarily, you're going to use the one here at the top. This would be our paragraphed text widget. And this is typically what you're going to use, but just to kind of distinguish them, in your website you have what are called heading tags. Now your search bots are going to be picking up what are called an H1 tag or heading 1 or heading 2, and typically those range in importance. So depending on how you want to structure your site, what relevant terms you want like Google or Yahoo to kind of pick up on when they're reading through your code will determine how they see it. So if we go ahead and we'll drag out a standard paragraph, and then I'll drag out a heading 1 tag so you can kind of see the difference here. So if we go to text and heading 1, now heading 1, it's obviously bigger. Now a couple things to keep in mind when you're addressing kind of these heading tags. By default, each browser, so Google Chrome, Safari, your Microsoft Edge, the different browsers are going to read and display something that's set to this tag by default differently. So in Chrome, which is what I'm using here, and you need to use when utilizing the EliteWorks platform for the best experience, it displays it in this size. Now if I double click so that I can get into the text editing portion, you'll notice that it's set to heading 1 here in the editor. Now I can go through and I can actually set specific fonts or a specific size, but if I do not set the sizing, by default it's going to be whatever the browser picks it to display. So something important that because each browser displays it differently, these heading 1 sizes could change dependent upon where they're viewing it. So you'll always, even if you utilize a heading tag, and you'll want to utilize this to display the importance of what that text is for your search bots, but you'll always want to adjust kind of the sizing of it so that you know how it's going to display in each browser. So that's kind of the difference between what the headings are. And when we go back to the text, so you're heading 1, 2s, and 3s and 4s, that's just kind of importance on how you want to establish it. But you're going to add text kind of no matter what. And if we do the paragraph text, this doesn't set it as any type of tag. You can see it sets it to normal, which doesn't utilize any of the text. So dependent upon how you build your website, again, is what you'll use. So we'll go and we'll delete this one. Now they behave the same as far as adjusting them and changing them. Now this green box around the outside is what's called the widget container. Now this is going to be the same across all widgets within the EliteWorks platform, not just the text, but the text itself behaves in a little bit different manner. Now if I go ahead and I'll just copy this so that we have quite a bit of text here, and you can see how the content section grows. Now in order to edit, I can just double click into here and I will edit it like any type of Word document. So I just copied and pasted in here. I can type straight on the screen. This is a paragraph. Now one thing that's important to note, right now it's what's called freeform. So in the EliteWorks platform, there's kind of 2 different options to the widgets on how they take up space and how they react to the screen sizes changing. And freeform gives me the functionality and the ability to move it kind of anywhere I want and reposition it. Now with text, you want to be a little bit careful with this. If we copy some of this and let's say we add more text to this, make it bigger, and we position it so that it's in the middle of our screen. Now when it comes to the screen shrinking, since I'm doing freeform, if we notice, I'll put a button on here just to kind of give us a scale. But now if I go to the mobile editing view, you can see how the text is not staying within its widget container. It's kind of running down and it's over the top of the button itself. Now, in order to prevent this, with text especially, you want to set it to responsive, and you're going to want to use responsive as much as you can when it comes to text, because it'll always structure the container to always contain the text within inside of it. So the way that we do that is up here, you've got the little sideways arrow, it says it responsive, and notice when I click it, it's now going to dedicate an area for this text. And now if I go to the mobile view, you can see it's above the button. It never overlaps because it's dedicating space. So one thing when it comes to utilizing text, there are going to be times you want to use freeform, but for the most of the time you're going to want to try to structure it in a way that you're using columns or rows and utilizing the text as a responsive based widget. Now, when it comes to editing size or fonts, by default we've got some fonts listed here that you can choose from, and when I change the font, if I want to change the size, I can change the size just again like a text editor. Now, the color picker within the text widget, because it utilizes an inline text, it doesn't utilize the same color picker. So if you want to change the color, you can come to the color pick here. You can pick from the standard tables, or you can go to more color, pick from the color picker here, or input the color that you want. So if we do F2, 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 or excuse me, F2, 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 and click OK, you'll notice how it's grayed out. So as you're utilizing color themes within the text widget, you'll utilize kind of that secondary color picker. Now, if we want to adjust text, one of the recommendations is that we utilize multiple widgets instead of adjusting the colors like we've done here. So you can see I've structured this out. If I want to create like a different sizing or a different color or different text to break it up, we do recommend that you utilize another widget below it. So we'll do this, we'll make it responsive, and then from here I could make it, centered, make it a little smaller, make it a little bigger, change the colors, and it's going to be separated from this particular text widget. Now that's just kind of a basic overview on the text widget, kind of some tips and tricks to help you get going within your website. And just kind of the biggest things are, make sure that you set your responsive when you need to utilize it. Now, one last thing that is extremely important when it comes to text, and that's understanding how the text behaves when you change it in different screen modes. So for example, if I come in and I change this text and I say, this is my desktop view. Now, from saying desktop view, if I go to mobile, okay, and if I scroll down, you can see that it says this is my desktop view. But what if in mobile I want it to say laptop, or I want it to say mobile, excuse me. So if I type in mobile, now it says mobile view. Now, because I've altered the text in the mobile editor, it is now separate from the desktop. So if I click on desktop, see how it says this is my desktop view. I go back to mobile and it says this is my mobile view. Okay, so it's very important. Now if I want to come back and let's say I wanted all my views to just say this is my website view, and I go to mobile, it still says mobile view because I changed it initially. Okay, so that's kind of the last piece and trick when it comes to optimizing your site. If you want to change the text sizing, header tags bigger on desktop versus smaller on mobile, you're going to change those independently based off of the different sizes. That's going to give you the ultimate flexibility and control to determine what your site says and kind of how it's displayed. So that's kind of it when it comes to the text widget. If you have any questions, like always, please feel free to reach out to our support group and we're happy to help, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks.